I'm interested to know if you've got any other thoughts on how 10, 12 years on from Lean Startup, how your practice may have evolved.
Yeah. Well, first off, I think it's easy to kind of pick apart what Eric did. I was following what he was doing in Startup Lessons Learned blog and Lean Startup Circles and all this stuff. And it's one of the reasons I was really drawn to it. Is I felt like it was almost like theory of relativity, like ideas of just the simplicity of just talking about it and how we can go through and managing uncertainty. So I think it's a really groundbreaking piece of work. I remember him being asked about, like, why didn't you put any failed companies in there? And he's like, just wait, you're going to see which ones failed. Like, we don't know which ones have failed yet. Right. So I think, I think when we push this idea forward to 10 years, right, this has been almost or over 10 years at this point. I think what I've seen in my practice is just maybe it's a little more maturity, or just even myself as I've changed over the last decade. I'm less, and I've never really felt on board with some of the tactics that maybe that aren't like explicitly defined in the book, but are sort of embraced by that community, right? So examples like fake testimonials on your landing page. It's like, oh, how do I get people to trust what I'm working on? Well, let's just put up a bunch of made up things to make them trust us. Some people feel as if that's like a perfectly legitimate thing to do, right? They'll say, oh, we've been featured in all these different magazines, and they haven't, but they put it there to get enough trust to get people to click. And I wonder about this idea of manipulation, and especially in this day and age where a lot of stuff's been weaponized, right? And so we've seen it used against governments and everything else, like some of these techniques. And so I'm just very much more mindful of that, Like when I used to run this Lean Startup meetup in San Francisco, and people would tell stories about what they're doing, and I was like, ooh, it's like, you're doing that? Like, that doesn't feel right to me, And so I think what's happened over the years is I've been pulled more into the social science aspects of this, and the idea of testing with and not on your customer. And so even when I was writing the book, my thinking was, ooh, do I include this in there or not? And do I want to give this a platform or not? And I had to make some decisions with Alex, going through that process. And so I would say the biggest thing for me has been a lot of the techniques and just this idea of testing with and not on. I'm really trying to push, especially my B2B customers, more into like a co-creation kind of thing versus let's try to deceive the customer into clicking to see if there's something there. I know it's not like a binary thing, but I feel like you're on a spectrum of, I don't want to waste all my time and money building something nobody wants. But at the same time, I don't want to deceive my customers to the point where I'm not at a stage where I'm really at just to check the box to move forward. And so that has been something I've always really struggled with in my career and even in my coaching.
Thanks so much for watching. You can watch the full version of the podcast by going to my YouTube channel, or indeed by clicking the link right up here. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.